Good morning, everyone. So happy and blessed and grateful to be here with all of you this morning. Beautiful Sunday morning. So welcome to everybody at the temple and everybody online. My name is Arnab with my wife Padma. We are very honored to serve this morning. I'll read from Rays of the One Light, weekly commentaries on the Bible and the Bhagavad Gita by Swami Kriyananda. Does God hide the truth? Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramhansa Yogananda. In last week's reading, we saw that the great masters themselves counsel discretion in the dissemination of truth. The counter-argument is sometimes made, but the Lord doesn't hide. He reveals His beauty in the sunsets, His tender sympathy in the rain, His wrath in the thunder, His restless energy in the brooks, His power in the sunlight. These are exoteric truths, and there are also esoteric truths. There is that which is revealed impersonally and left up to us to interpret, such as the thunder and our perception of it as divine wrath, the rain and our perception of it as God's sympathy. But behind even God's most open expressions, there lies impenetrable mystery. The wind blows where it will, said Jesus in chapter 3 of the Gospel of St. John. You hear the sound of it, but you do not know where it comes from or where it is going. So is everyone who is born of the Spirit. And Sri Krishna says in the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, by me the whole vast universe of things is spread abroad. By me the unmanifest. In me are all existences contained, not I in them. God's hidden reality cannot be understood by the reasoning faculty. India's Sankhya philosophy states frankly, Ishwar Asiddha, God is not provable. A willingness to seek the underlying reality behind appearances is essential for those who would know God. Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind.
We'll start with a reading from Whispers from Eternity, a book of prayers and poems by Paramahansa Yogananda. Teach me to fish for thee in the deep waters of my soul. I sought to catch thee in the deep waters of superconsciousness. Little fishes of inspiration nibbled at my bait of meditation. My concentration bobbed, but every time I pulled, I missed thee. I baited the hook of my meditation with the tasty spice of love. The little fishes tugged, and I watched them do so with attentive zeal. Lo, my mind's float vanished beneath thy waves of bliss. O colossal denizen of my consciousness, I pulled at thee, and with a bound thou didst leap to the shores of my heart. Teach me to fish for thee, ever in the deepest waters of my soul. And this one, the second one, make me silent, that I may eloquently converse with thee. Wandering through forests of incessant searching, I arrived at the mystery door which conceals thy presence. I knocked loudly on this door of silence, with persistent blows of faith. At last the door opened, and I beheld thee, resting on thy altar of glorious visions. I stood with restless gaze, waiting for thee to speak. Thy creation-making voice was inaudible. At last a deep stillness stole upon me, and taught me in whispers the language of angels. With the lisping voice of my newborn freedom, I tried to speak. Suddenly the lights in thy temple wrote brilliantly in letters of light. In my little chamber of quietness, I am ever at rest. I never speak now, but with the voice of silence. Through my silence, O divine lover, converse thou eloquently with me. And that kind of sets up for our topic today. Does God hide the truth? So I guess the short answer to that would be, no, God really doesn't hide the truth. He has no interest in hiding anything from us. But he did create delusion, Maya. And it's that Maya that hides the truth from us. So in a way you can say it's all God's fault. Yes. But so why this Maya? I'm sure a lot of you know this story. You know, God, it says Brahma created humankind, and as soon as he made humankind, they sat down in meditation and merged themselves back to the creator, Brahma. And he said, well, that wasn't that much fun. So then he said, let me try this one more. And he tried one more time. He created man, and man sat down in meditation and made themselves one with the creator. So then Brahma thought of, I know, I have to create a distraction. And that distraction was created. So man was created with Maya, the Sanskrit word for delusion. And here we are, going on. The show is going on for much longer. So imagine, I was thinking, I always, visualizations come to me. I was thinking, imagine you've gone to this party and the host has set up this treasure hunt for us, right? All the guests are going to play a treasure hunt. Can you imagine what a bore of a treasure hunt game it would be if the host just told you, it's there, there, and there? What fun is that? So we can think of the creation and us in that way. This is all a great story because the end is inevitable. There is no other end than our merging ourselves back with the truth, back from where we came. That is our ultimate goal as well as destiny. Someone once said, some saint once says, we are all going to be merging back with God, but don't tell that to everyone. Whether they want it or not, we are all going to go back to God. But don't tell that to them. Master said, the Lord tries to put us in different planets, in different galaxies perhaps, because when people start coming to the same place over and over again, they kind of catch on. They understand, they begin understanding the game. And you sometimes wonder about that, like, really? Does the Creator doesn't really want us to catch on? But what we know is this, that Divine Mother is waiting for us. Otherwise she wouldn't have sent the masters that she sends our way. If she wanted us to be in delusion forever, would we have the teachers? Would we have the enlightened ones amongst us? No. She's desperately wanting us all back. And we are all and she's given us free will. We know how that works. So think about that treasure hunt party. Some of us are going, really taking it far away. God knows where we are going with it, trying to look for that treasure, making great adventures, not finding it, trying again and again and again. And that brings us to this monotonous existence that we call life. And I can speak for all of us in this room and online that are tuning in. Whoever tunes into these teachings, we are all tired. We are saying, Divine Mother, can you please, I don't want to play anymore. I just want you. I don't want to play anymore. I'm tired of playing. Please, reveal yourself to me. I don't want this delusion anymore. Lift this veil. There's a beautiful story. It's all very, so don't take it literally, but anyways, here goes the story. So here is the kingdom of Balaram. Balaram is the older brother of Krishna. So in his court, there are so many luminaries, but there comes this artist, and he says, I want to draw Krishna, because it's famed that Krishna can be drawn. He shifts He changes all the time. You can't draw Krishna. So he comes and Balaram says, okay, calls for Krishna. Krishna comes and obediently poses for the painter. And the artist tries to draw, and after a few days, they show the painting and Balaram says, this is no Krishna. This is no Krishna. And he understands he has failed and he tries again. And every time, Krishna is shifting, changing the way he looks outwardly, and he can't capture, the painter can't capture, no matter how much he tries. And 12 years goes by trying to capture, he could not. And here comes Narada. Narada is an exalted devotee of Vishnu, which is Krishna is an incarnation of Vishnu. In other words, a great devotee of Krishna, a master, a self-realized master. So he comes and he sees this going on because this painter is at his wit's end. He's trying and he can't. And he's almost ready to give up his life. And Narada says, wait, I'm going to give you some help. So he says, just do as I say. So first of all, tell everyone that I am your guru. And the painter says so. And so he says, my guru is going to come today in the court. So let's call Krishna. Krishna comes. And Narada comes with a frame covered with a black cloth. And he places that frame in front of Krishna, and he removes the black cloth. Look at all these significances. He removes the black cloth. It reveals itself to be a mirror, a beautiful, clean, crystal clear mirror. And now the artist looks at that mirror, because no matter what Krishna is doing, now the mirror is reflecting back the true Krishna, and the artist was able to draw the true likeness of Krishna. The moral of this story, Narada is the guru. He comes in to help us. It's a very difficult task. This Maya is so engrossing, so encapsulating. We can talk to lengths about this Maya, but let's step out into the world. It gets the best of us, doesn't it? No matter how much we try. So there comes the guru, and he brings in the mirror of self-reflection. We have to go inside. And we have to reflect, and we have to figure out who we really are. How does he do that? He removes the veil, the dark veil of delusion that's covering our eyes, which is not letting us clearly see who we really are. Because once we really understand who we are, we will also understand who the Lord, the Creator, is. Because we are one. And so to give credit to God, we have to say that yes, He has created, Divine Mother has created a really good show that's keeping us going in that treasure hunt. But she has done one great thing, don't you think? She's given us the touch of herself right within us. In our festival of light, we ask, and where shall I find that truth? In your own self. We don't have to look for it anywhere. It's right here. And we know all of this. How difficult is this delusion? I'll share with you my personal experience, which was kind of corroborated by Prashad. I think some of you know Prashad. He's a monk who lives in the village now. He's from India. And he shared, I'll tell his story and I'll say I had this very similar experience. So he says he went to the movie very consciously thinking of Master. And Master said, when you go into the movies, look up to the beam, look up to the light. And remember, that's what the creation is. It's that light that creates everything around us. And so what you're seeing is delusion. What you're seeing on that screen in the movie, in other words, he's drawing parallel to the movie, to what we have around us, right? So he says, I went in with my full bestest intention of looking up to the beam. And then what happened? He said, Padma, I kept on watching the movie. I couldn't take my eyes off the movie. I'll miss out on something. And I knew I needed to look at the beam. And I said, okay, after this scene. Okay, after this scene. And then the movie ended and all those, the acknowledgments came up. And I realized I did not look up at the beam. Such is the power of delusion. And I've had something very similar. So if a movie can engross us so much, can you imagine the movie made by Divine Mother? It is perfect to keep us engrossed in it, in spite of our good intentions. So I guess the moral of that story is take action right now. Don't delay. Yes, we know this is delusion, this is Maya, but this creates so much of trouble, and all of us can speak our own share of that. Right? So of course, we know that we are going to get out of this because we are not, Divine Mother has definitely not locked us against our will. We just have to put in the energy more strongly, more and more strongly. And there's so much to be hopeful for. There's so much to be grateful for, isn't it? I know each one of us can be grateful for the presence of the teachings of Master in our lives. In the deepest time, this beautiful story, I'm sure all of you have heard. So this man, he was walking along the beach. He was having a vision from God, and he was walking along the beach, and he noticed that there were these footprints on the sand, and he noticed that there were two footprints. So he said, oh, that's the Lord walking beside me. But then in my darkest time, the second footprint disappeared, and he turned to the Lord, accusatory, and said, Lord, where were you in my darkest times? And the Lord replied, we all know the sweet answer, it was then that I carried you, my child. And that is what is happening. Otherwise, we wouldn't have sustained. Our life would end, but it doesn't. We continue, and we are bornless. We will continue forever. There's nothing to be afraid of death, this physical body. It's just the physical. And the more we tune in, the more we meditate, we become aware more and more of something more. This outward, this is just temporary. Then who am I? We ask that question, and that takes us deeper. So I want to share with you that, okay, we are all convinced this is the world of delusion, and we are nicely entrapped in it. What is the way out? Because we don't want to wait for long. Masters come to give us the hope that, yes, child, come home. The time for knowing God is here. We can do it right here. So there are a few things. So one, I think this one thing encapsulates everything. We have to be the best disciple we can be. What does a best disciple look like? Well, Master has given us, and all masters do this, he's given us a regime. Are we doing that? Discipline. A lot of us were here for Kriya. Do you guys remember what Parvati said? Be a good Kriyaban. Our entire life should be revolving around this truth. If we are that desperate and we truly want out, yes, we have to be that desperate. That we are really wanting out, then it's important enough. Actually, Swamiji said there is nothing more important in our life than finding God. That's the very reason we exist. So in our own times, we will come to realize there is nothing else in this world. It's all Maya. It's all ashes. There's nothing else. This whole ploy is basically to find God. All of that that's going on, good, bad, light, dark, is for each one of us to find God individually. And the masters are there to show us the way. So he gives us discipline, something very basic. Every morning, every night, are you spending time without fail? Rigid. Be rigid about that. That's the first thing. That's the first step out towards the door. Kriya, we all know, is the fastest route of finding God. If you haven't considered Kriya, I say, please do. That is our answer out. In fact, we are told by our masters, for every questions, every difficulty, do more Kriya. Do more Kriya. And those problems will dissolve, or the answers will come, and you will develop the magnetism to draw the solution to every problem in your life. And what is the largest problem in our life? Haven't realized God yet. That's also going to happen. When we move towards that goal, everything else just falls in place. All the other problems move away. Another aspect, watch the inspiration, watch the company you keep. Are we keeping good company? Is the company we are keeping allowing our inspiration to flow up? Is it helping? Are we spending a lot of time in doing things that draws the energy down and out? That's exactly opposite of where we want to bring our energy. The world, Maya, is trying to pull our energy out. That's what the senses do, the five senses. That's their job. I hear something, the energy goes out that way towards the sound. I see something, energy going out. All the five senses do that. Our job is to be more and more centered. The more we spend time in deep meditation, it becomes easier to find that center and to stay in it. And also to watch, because we're not meditating all the time. When you're not meditating, what are we doing? Are we holding good inspiration? Are we keeping good company? And then the other one is, we don't work. Disciples don't work. We serve, don't we? And we can find every situation in our life to be serving. That itself is inspiring, because that has to bring in the thought of God. Whatever you do in your life outwardly, make it into service. So for those of you who haven't heard this story, something that always sticks with me, because I forget. So there was this nun, Master's disciple, and she noticed that she's very overworked in the ashram. I'm talking about Mount Washington, the ashram. And she approached Master saying, Master, I can't handle so much work. And Master says, you should not. You should not work so hard. And after that counsel, he sends for her, or just sends some message through another person giving her more duties. And she said, what? What's happening? Anyways, and then after a while, she tries to deal with it, goes back to Master and says, Master, I can't do so much work. And he says again, you should not. You should not do so much work. And sure enough, the duties go on increasing. And this happened. This drama happened for a while, and then she realized, I'm sure she must have called out in meditation to Master, Divine Mother, please show me the way, I'm not understanding your lesson. And then she realizes one day, oh, I get it. So she goes to see Master and says, Master, I understand it's not work, it's just service. And then he smiled and says, that's my girl, you understood, you got it. Or the story of that disciple who just hated, this is also back in the ashram house, I think, in Washington. He used to hate watering, getting up early in the morning, and his job was to water the garden. And he says, it's like soggy and very wet, and in the morning, I used to hate doing that. I used to hate doing that with my gut, resisted that, but good disciple, did it anyway, but the attitude was wrong. And then after a while, I guess with practice, with meditation, with Kriya, the wisdom comes, and he suddenly realizes, oh, it's my attitude that needs to fix. It's not the outer work. And that morning, he just woke up being very enthusiastic. And I kid you not, this is a true story. That very day, the word came that Master wants him to work somewhere else. Isn't that amazing? And let's now step back and look at all the resistances in our lives. The areas of resistance, oh, I can't go there, or that's just too difficult. So Swami Kriyananda, as practical as he was in his spirituality, says, the big problems, put it up on the shelf for a while. Just tackle with the little ones. Gain your strength through that. The little resistances in your life, face them, accept them. See it as no coincidence. If you're a disciple, see it as coming from the loving hands of the Master who knows you and knows exactly what you need, that fine-tuning that needs to happen in us if we are to perfect ourselves. See that, accept that, and it'll disappear, as it does. So, the attitude, the inspiration, the practice, and another thing before I end, this is really important, vitally important, practicing silence. God is silence, as you heard in that prayer. We will not be able to, in the beginning at least, as far as I understand, we will not be able to see God in everything. That will happen, that will come to each one of us. But in the beginning, as we are practicing, we have to practice silence. And that's what meditation is, but it's also good to have maybe a seclusion. In fact, if we are serious truth seekers, we are being prescribed 1 week of seclusion every year. It's a prescription. So if you're not doing that already, let's do that. Or when you find yourself just by yourself, maybe in a beautiful place, a garden, watching the sunset at the beach, in the forest, practice silence. And in that silence, commune. Come to me. Talk to me in your words of silence. And then finally, one last thing is to keep we have all heard of this, or most of us have, that we have to keep our focus here. Now that's really difficult, especially when we are dealing outwardly with the world. So Swamiji, I just read this and I wanted to share with you. He's saying, imagine a video screen at the point between the eyebrows, at the point of superconsciousness. Imagine, you guys can all close your eyes for a moment, and then if you want to touch the point, just to be physically aware of that, imagine a video screen there. A video screen through which you are projecting your consciousness and your energy. So now you can open your eyes, and as you interact with the world and the people all around us, imagine all of your energy, your whole being is coming from that point and interacting with the world. In other words, our attention is there through that video screen. Just makes it a little easier and more real. And it is difficult. We will forget. Just keep on at it, practicing. Master says that's a very quick way of moving towards self-realization if you are able to keep your focus at that point. He used to be able to taste the food through his superconsciousness. Some of you must have read. He used to taste the salt as he's cooking without tasting through here. It's possible. He has shown us the way. We have to do is trust him and try. And as we do all of this, it's like the spoke of a wheel. We have to work at all of this, our inward life, the way we interact with the world, our attitude, our keeping God in our mind as we go through the day. But encompassingly, overwhelmingly, one aspect that we have to remember is hold Master close to us. We are his disciple. He has no other job in this universe than to make sure that each one of these souls are brought to God. He's waiting. We have to allow him more into our hearts and lives. Bless you all.